welcome back to Making Waves, everyone. We've been on a brief hiatus, so it's good to speak with everyone again. Along with the host, Chad. Say hi, Chad.
Oh, hi, Chad.
Hi, my name is Justin, and as I said, this is Making Waves. We are the Shiprock Podcast. We are part of the Sound Talent Media family and Evergreen Podcast Collective. So welcome. Well, our guest tonight is our first repeat guest ever, and it's really fitting because we just announced our lineup for 2023. And you know what? Actually, Elias, it's Elias from Nonpoint, but I'm going to go into a story about Elias from Nonpoint real quick. So on the ship we just had in 2022, he announced that they were going to be playing. So yes. he let the rabbit out of the hat before anyone else. So anyway, everyone, please welcome Elias. Thank you for joining us, my friend.
Yeah. I waited. I was there for weeks now. I've been waiting.
I had no idea I was the first repeat guest. I feel honored. Thank you, guys. I love the Shiprock family. It's been something that I felt like I've been such a part of so many years of it. Mm-hmm. It's good to talk to friends.
It's been an interesting ride. Chad, it has been a while.
Because you said it. You said that. I remember him saying, but I'm thinking about it now. When you announced it on the ship, did you actually know that you were playing, or you were just saying we're going to be in?
No. Okay, you want to know the story?
Yeah, I would love.
I can actually tell you the story.
Okay.
Okay, I am. I'll try to make it short. I am Puerto Rican Dominican, so when the announcement of what the ports were going to be, I have yet to go to the Dominican Republic at this age. I went when I was very young. My mother took me. I was like literally 5 years old. So, for me to go with my wife and to possibly take my daughter, I was like, I would. And it was really about playing the Caribbean. The Caribbean Shiprocks were always so much fun, and the weather was always right, and it just had a very laid back vibe. And I love Mexico, but Mexico was a lot more rush, like, hey man, let's take this shot, and hey, buy this. And it was like a lot of go. Where everything in the Caribbean was like, hey man, let's do this. And it was like, so I was really looking forward to that. So once I heard that, I pulled the guys together and I was like, hey, let's be the first band to announce, and let's see if they'll let us announce during our theater show. So Randy, our international agent from Sound, was there, and I pulled Randy aside and I was like, hey, tell Alan I want to work on a deal right now. Let's get this wrapped up right now. And he's like, all right, let me talk to Al. And I pulled Al, and Al said the same thing. He's like, let me talk to Alan right now. And they immediately talked, did all the negotiation that they needed to do. And literally, as I was walking on stage, I got the answer.
You got the thumbs up from Randy.
The thumbs up. That it's good awesome to announce. And I was like, yes. So awesome. Yeah. And we
it's really funny, the evolution just on the ship alone for you guys. I mean, I remember the beach shows, and you're talking about when we were doing the Caribbean, and there was a different vibe to it. The beach shows seemed really right.
Yeah.
But then in this last one, you guys are playing the deck, and if you're up above on that third level looking down, the place is like, ass to nuts full, right?
Yeah.
And it's just so funny to see that you guys are now in the position where like that's the show. No matter what you're doing on the boat, that's the show.
Yeah.
So it's stoked to see you guys have been a formidable band for a long time, obviously part of our lore. But to see you guys now at a point where it's like you guys have become the show, it's just really inspiring, great to see, because you guys really do work your asses off. And
thank you.
The reception you get from the crowd, it's kind of one and the same. What you guys give, they give in return.
It's appreciated, and I have to give credit where credit's due. You guys really introduced us to a group of people that follow us across the country. at our sold out show in Flint that we just played, somebody handed us a Shiprock flag that I took pictures with. You know, so many Shiprockers come to our shows throughout the tours. So
yeah,
you know, the feeling is mutual for real.
Real quick, I just wanted to. I was hoping there was a part of me that just was like, you all of that lead up to like I haven't been to the Caribbean as an adult. My wife and my child were gonna go there. Playing in the Caribbean's awesome. So I just fucking manifested, dude. I walked right on stage. The first thing I said is, "Welcome to Shiprock 2021. We'll see you, or 2022. We'll see you in 23." And just like, fucking said, "Wait, what?" Everybody on the side of the walk off the stage, and there's Randy. Said, "Well, it worked. You're playing."
I know. I was smart enough to not paint myself in a corner and have, you know, your team go. You never know. Never know.
Yeah.
Shiprock aside, you guys. Shiprock aside, Elias, you guys have been super busy, and you guys are a very, very the description of a working band. Tour to tour, there's very little breaks in between. You drop an EP, hit the road. Summertime's coming, you're hitting the road with obviously another young band that was on Shiprock Varsity.
Yes.
Summer tour. How did that come to be? Did you guys just kind of meet? Is that the first time you met was on the ship?
We actually, I think I just ran into the guys. I haven't personally, you know, I didn't talk to them really, or I had my family there, and so I really didn't rub elbows with many people. But our agent and our team at Sound, that was on Varsity was on one of the lists that we sent, looking for support. You know, just listening to bands, you know, just listening band after band after band after band. And then we sent them 20 and we were like, any of these 20 will be awesome. So, you know, Tim hit us back and Varsity was on the list. I was like, yeah, fuck yeah.
That's awesome.
Now, let me ask you, when you're picking bands, and Chad probably jump in here too, when you're picking bands, do you want a band that kind of aligns with what you do, your sound, your crowd, or is it okay to say, you know what, we're going to get a band that has nothing to really do with our sound, but it might bring something different, or hey, we're open-minded here, or is it just easier to just bring kind of a package that you know the fans will like right out of the box?
You know, I think in this point in my career, and I think Chad, you'll agree with me, it's really about the ticket as a whole, and on either sides of that coin, a band similar to Nonpoint. So we've, you know, had many bands like that we've toured with. Dropout Kings, just as of recently, amazing band that has our kind of vibe. But, you know, I would love to tour with bands like Spiritbox or you know, Periphery, or any of those really, you know, just where our audiences are completely opposite, but we both fill rooms. So, you know, that way our fans are looking around and seeing and experiencing something different. You know, so it, you know, there's that European festival kind of feel to your ticket, or it's just like nonstop, you know, energy. So it just really depends on, you know, who's available and you know, who's interesting enough to us and willing to take, you know, the money that promoters are you know, willing to pay, especially now that everyone's trying to recover from the pandemic. Not a lot of clubs survived, and not a lot of promoters were able to, you know, keep their kind of revenue going to keep things going. They were just basically just trying to keep themselves afloat because nobody was coming into their venue. So we're all adjusting at the same time. That's why we changed our business model and really started focusing on things like our social media and our online, you know, prowess, our merchandise and things like that. So that's where we're at with it.
Yeah, I concur. I mean, it's especially important that you think about what that Venn diagram does when you're in the room. You know, like there are the two separate holes. Sorry, my dog is barking. He's seeing another dog probably out the window. But the Venn diagram of the two holes coming together and then how they all intertwine. Do you both leave with the benefit of your crowds merging and then becoming new fans of either or band? And also, what does the experience feel like for each band's fan? Like it should, if you to even like take it a step further with the club situations, the ones that are alive, especially the independent promoters, they have to charge a lot. Nobody wants to take a step back in earning, right? From the production company to the stagehand to the bands to everybody, even though there was a huge step back in the industry, and there's less of a amount, the supply versus demand is completely off kilter from each other. So when those ticket prices rise, you have to take into account, I think, specifically when you're at the headliner, if you were charging a $20 ticket or a $25 ticket before the pandemic, and now you're at a $27 or a $30 ticket right now, that's to make up for lost causes. Well, is my support going to make the people who pay that $3 or $5 feel like that was a great show? That was
worth, totally. And you do your best to meet the mark that you have to with your crowds, as far as the show. But at the end of the day, people got, why didn't you come with this band? It's like they weren't available, or it didn't cost. The promoters weren't able to pay the money. They were willing to pay for us, but they weren't willing to pay for them, or that it's all risk. That's why, again, we figured out how to survive it and how to change with it. And a lot of promoters and a lot of reasons that our shows are becoming more and more successful is that we've taken on the advertising vehicle, and now we're doing the advertising for our shows, where promoters were left to their own devices, and outside of just targeting our band and our fans, I have front row access to all of my pages, and I have my audience engaged on our socials. So to be able to flip that into spending a little bit of money, since they're spending money on me, I think I'm getting the respect from promoters, and they're seeing us do that as well. So that way they're also committing more to the shows.
That's a great way to put it.
The micro targeting that you have to do now for each venue you're going to is so essential to what you're doing with social media. It's no longer like the promoters, especially the independent ones in these kind of second or B and C markets. They're like, all right, we're going to spend $500 on brick and mortar. That doesn't work anymore.
But that's the only channel that they have, unfortunately. I had to spend money on educating myself, and I actually have, at least I talked to a Facebook marketing. I talk to them at least every month and a half, at least. Whatever I've spoken to them about, I set up all my ads, and I set up a meeting for the next time. So that way, they can look at what my ads did, I can change it, and it's becoming less and less expensive for me to do what I need to do to hit the marks that I hit. But people have to take into consideration, when I'm playing a tour that has 35 markets, just spending $100 in each one of those markets, that's almost $3,500, $4,000 that you have to consider, and how much are other people spending on that same side. So you got to decide one way or another, whether or not you're willing to take that hit to get people through the door.
Yeah. So back to my original question, I won't be seeing
super poignant, by the way. I just want to let you know, as a promoter for 15 years, that's the first time that I think we've talked to anybody on this show that has said it the way that it, I think, literally should be said. Educate yourself, so that way you can do the best you can in that realm, so you can continue to do the best you can with your partners.
There needs to be like an open relationship between the brands themselves, and the internal infrastructure, their business infrastructure, and the business that they do in the markets that they go and visit, because we spend dollars to promote ourselves at radio. We spend dollars to, drive into town on crew, on production. So there's dollars spent in that market. To have a relationship with the guy that's getting people to walk through the door, there can be such a better open dialogue going on, I've seen how broken that model is, because they should be coming directly to me and spending the dollars straight through my profile instead of targeting my profile, which is 10 times the cost. For me to advertise on my page is on the pennies based on the dollars that they're spending to target my band. So, if they were to educate themselves on that and then have those conversations with us, we could write that into the contract, or we could take the advertising dollars and let them spend it. All that. There's so many ways. And that's where I feel like the pandemic is eventually going to have to, make those models get tested. So that way people can start surviving on a higher scale.
Spoken like a true goat.
So speaking about changing the paradigm, so your last release was the Ruthless EP. Are EPs in a sense kind of the way forward?
For us, I think like we talked about in our documentary during the pandemic, before we dropped Ruthless and this next one coming up, it was a test on what everyone told us in the last 20 years we could or couldn't do with our music. Because I've worked with a lot of big teams, started with MCA, went to Lava, went to Geffen, went to Rocket Science, then we went to Razor and Tie, and then Concord, and then a lot of big names and big teams. And they have their systems in place. So when you go and you say, hey, I feel like my fans would really gravitate to this kind of song, there's a lot of doors you got to go through to finally feel like you have an answer to whether or not that feeling is right. When it's just completely up to you and the risk is yours, and you've been asking that question for as long as we have, at this point, it's just like, fuck it, I'm just gonna do it. I'm not even gonna ask. So what we did with Ruthless, because we were flipping into the independent world, is we wanted to make sure that our base was taken care of. For the last 20 years, I've been dropping shit at radio and doing well at radio. I don't want to pretend like I don't have radio songs. But I flash back to Hans Haydel, our first A&R guy, when he signed us. And he was like, you guys are going to be the Latin Pantera. And it was because he saw our live shows with music that we had written that was completely untouched by producers, by anyone. So when we went independent, and I sat down with Rob and I sat down with the guys, it was about answering that question. And we needed to bankroll that to make sure that we did that. The Ruthless EP, the streams, everything did so well for us that we are able to now, our record label in the first year is now in the black, and so is our independence. So everything is moving in such a positive way that we don't have to worry about things like budgets anymore, where it was constantly an issue before. Well, we worry about them, but now it's dollars versus risk. And it's like, well, we never got to do this, so let's just fucking do it. And with the next EP, that Ruthless was like, yes, they can write songs the way Nonpoint writes songs, independent. Now watch what they do when the cuffs are off and the gloves are off and we're ready to throw down. Like the next song that we drop on this EP is definitely going to turn some heads.
So was that the genesis then of 361 to be able to take those risks?
Yeah, that's why. Is because now there's nobody that we have to ask. So it's just, what do we want to do? We're going with this one first. And it's is there hesitation from management and agents when you decide, hey, we're going to go
from the label, the traditional label route, to do our own thing. Is there a moment of hesitation, or is the team all on board, or is there some convincing that must be done?
I think, well, we've surrounded ourselves now with a management team, and we have such an open dialogue with our agent now that they understand what the plan is. We handed over a marketing plan in January to know exactly when we wanted to tour, to know exactly when we were going to release everything, which I had yet to even do that with anyone in any of my teams in the, prior. But I was building and basically courting this team and convincing them to become partners with the Nonpoint brand over about a 5 to 3 year span. And, about fall of year before last, it really accelerated. And we started to see all of the testing that we were doing in our socials and all of the content that we were doing and watching all of our fans really start to engage with us, that we knew that we were doing, we were on the right plan and right path. And then when we felt like we were getting to a situation where we were not seeing eye to eye with a certain team member, we would just shift gears and pivot and find, someone who understood, the end game and understood that we're educated about our business and our fan base. And our fans have been asking for things for decades, and we're going to fucking give it to them.
That's awesome. I mean, I have a couple questions inside of all of that, if you don't mind me.
Yeah.
Just like poking at something completely off the beaten path. I think of where I was going to ask other questions, but this is so intriguing to me personally. What do you think that the end game is? And that doesn't have to be this record or the next EP, but like if you said 5 years from now, you've been courting to a space that you feel absolutely comfortable in. Sounds like you're doing very well with the brand moving forward. You're able to make your own decisions that are influenced by the people who really matter, who are the people who are consuming your music. So 5 years from now, what is that? Where do you see that this
and over the next 5 years, we're gonna I have such a deep understanding of our numbers, of our distribution, of our legal, of our taxes, of our entities, of every single part of my business, that once the model is finished, I want to be able to see another band that has a similar team, that I have a good content creator that understands and speaks to the band and is able to visually adapt their music so that way it can live in the internet world. Then I want to hand them the model and the deal that I wrote with my label, which is, though it's my label, it's still a deal that I completely flipped the share. So instead of it being, 80-20 this way, it's 80-20 towards us. And we're realizing with that 20% that we're able to operate and pay our team. And that is power,
Yeah,
and so I want to hand that power over to other artists that are willing to do the work that we're doing. It's because I'm not going to write their ads for them. I'm not going to, I want to show them how easy it is and how, sit down and ask them the 20 questions to help them figure out who their fans are, and, show them how to work with stores and showing them all the streams of revenue and showing them how Instagram, like all of these things that, will then excite them to the point where they're like, well, this is a better deal than I'm seeing over here. And at least I'm in control, and then I feel like from there, the 10-year plan is for a big label to look at our model and say, we want to fund this. We don't want to mess with it. Sort of like what Facebook did to Instagram, that that because I can't fund it. I'm funding my own. So we need to find another brand that's churning on their own, because I've seen small brands that are completely self-reliant and they're doing very well. And I would there's parts of even their infrastructure that I see is still based on a very old model. And if they could see how independence could get you to a point where then you can build up your team, then maybe sell your rights, then to grow and scale, because eventually even I'm gonna ceiling, and I understand that. But again, it's the freedom that I have right now and the level of success that I'm still having without having to commit to so much, share.
So, on all intents and purposes, what I understand is passing the torch in a way that allows you to proof in the pudding, outside of just the nucleus of what this is, but also monitoring it underneath your brand,
Directing them. Yeah.
Yep.
So just because I would literally have my COO dealing with their products, my creative director, my product manager, watching who they would appoint as their creative director and their product manager, and then have a branch of that team. So that way I can then show them, hey, this is where you're going to have to do some work. So carve out the next month and get yourself ready, because you're going to have to do some deep dip, digging.
And then Shark taking it from there, essentially.
Correct. Basically,
for all intents and purposes, not hooking your latch onto another wagon, but your wagon is now becoming a part of a wagon, wagoneer troop, or whatever you would call it, a caravan.
Right.
Yeah.
And then I want to use their directors to help direct my big ideas into what they know realistically I'll be able to hit, because they're good at scaling.
Supplementing where the core of what you built could use a little help monetarily, and also with the brothers.
Yeah, because there's less risk for them. And I understand that. I talked about this, in other interviews, that the model of artist and label isn't the model. It's album and label. They're in business with your album. They're not in business with you. So there's lots of things that they can't justify spending on, which you would think, well, it's going to make the band bigger. And they're like, I don't give a shit about making the band bigger. It's about making this album, this song. So when that light bulb goes off, you realize, oh man, what they care about has to be based on what they can show to the people above them that's profitable for their business. If not, they're going to, go somewhere else.
Right. That's beautiful, man. And I have to hand it to you a million times over. As long as you've done it and having the energy and strength internally to educate yourself, commit to the process, and see the results through, is probably the most inspiring thing. And there's a lot of very inspiring things about you, Elias, and about over the years, being a huge fan as I have been, knowing where you come from the Sunset Black days and Beeler Bros and all that stuff, seeing you where you are now. That was probably earth-shatteringly cool. Very, very awesome. Not that it matters what I think, but fuck yeah. I think that's
Thank you. Yeah. I appreciate it. It's this is fucking fun for me, man. This is like a whole new thing. It's like I have all the energy in the world for this side of it now.
Yeah. I just saw your brain.
Well, welcome everyone on Facebook. We are now live. So welcome everyone who's joined us on this Wednesday evening and sharing some time with Elias from Nonpoint.
What's up, everybody?
Hey, Elias guys, is so very smart. You should be listening to this first 30 minutes of this, because it was probably the most educational piece of material that Making Waves has done, in my opinion.
Real quick, guys, this drops Monday at 9 a.m. Eastern. Check out the first half hour, because it really is about the business of music and the art of independence. And Elias and the band have created a very unique paradigm for themselves going forward, and for younger bands coming up that might want to have some sort of mentorship from what they're doing, because it's very impressive and very, it's the way forward, quite honestly. But welcome. If you've got a question for Elias, please throw it in the thread and we will get to it. With that, we're going to continue talking. And one thing we spoke about before we went live earlier was aging.
Yes.
And I already have it. And you said a few silvers are coming in with you.
Yeah.
Do you remember?
Oh,
Did you
more
ever
than a
see
few.
that doc? Well, I'm just come on. Anyway, so did you ever see the documentary, The Other F Word?
No.
Okay, it's a documentary. Guys in Pennywise and Lars from Rancid and some other punks put it together. It's about punk rockers getting older and being parents. And there's a great segment when Jim Lindbergh from Pennywise is getting ready to go on tour, and one of the things he has to take with him is basically hair polish to kind of get, because his hair turning gray. You know, he's tired of wearing a cap all the time, so he has to put it in to keep the hair dark. Got to keep what did he say? You got to keep the illusion going, right?
Yes.
And my question to you is going back to the way you guys utilize social media. You guys leave yourself very vulnerable because you show the real you. There's a lot of silliness. There's a lot of things that people could go, oh my God, you know, because some bands still very, you know, ham-fisted about how they handle themselves and want to present themselves, but you guys are very real. And I think the idea of getting older is great because your fans now feel it's more intrinsic to them now, what you are and who you are as a person, because God damn it, we're all getting old together.
Mm-hmm.
Or older, I should say, but still retaining that energy you're talking about. Now, is that something that you ever think about, or you just say, fuck it, this is who I am, this is how I'm rolling, or do I have to keep the illusion rolling here?
You know, I'd be lying if I said I wasn't a little bit vain, you know, in the sense of catching it every once in a while in pictures, you know, but I have a very lovely wife who adores me and can't wait to see me in full gray dreads. So I'm lucky that I've grown old basically gracefully. I don't have any crow's feet or anything just yet. But when it comes to coloring my hair and doing that, I can't pretend I'm not the age that I am, that I haven't been around for 20 years. So for me to dye my dreads all the way to the very end, which would take God forever for me to do.
2 bottles. It would take 2 bottles.
Yeah, it would be insane. At a certain point, I feel like, you know, keeping myself physically fit, keeping a smile on my face, and keeping my voice tip top is what's important.
I definitely think one of the advantages you guys have is that you guys have never stopped. The last 20 years, you haven't been a band that's like, hey, we took a 5-year hiatus and now you come back and people go, oh shit, I haven't seen him in 5 years. What's he look like? Wow, he's changed. But people, you know what? It's so gradual when you say that it's the last thing that people think about because you've always been there for them. So that's all they're thinking about is, well, they sound different. Oh, they didn't like that song. I like the song off the last album. That's the only change that they really actually even see and hear. So,
you know, it's funny. We were gonna take a hiatus, and the universe made us take a hiatus because just before the pandemic happened, Nonpoint went dark on all socials, and our fans were asking what was going on, and we had planned on doing that. And then the pandemic happened. And in the middle of the pandemic, people were like, man, I miss Nonpoint. I wish they would come back, man. Where are they? And we were like, we had planned on not being around for quite some time. And we felt like our fans needed our humor, needed our needed music, just needed something. And we could afford to do it at the time, and we were willing to do it. So yeah, everybody's kind of sitting around doing nothing, and we were like, fuck it.
How close were you to announcing that before you know, the world announced that everybody's going to have a break?
Well, Ruthless was supposed to come out a year prior.
Oh,
and
okay.
Yeah, and when the pandemic hit, because it was coinciding with an AEW event the year prior. So we asked Mikey and the team there if it was okay for us to wait a year, because we weren't going to be able to tour and support the song. And you know how important it is, you know, to the stations that you come to town when they've played the song, to the fans that have support and called to ask the DJs to play it, you know, all that stuff. So we didn't want, with our first test of us being independent, to go against the industry without our touring, which is our show is our show. So I didn't want to, you know, put our team in our first swing at the plate in those situations. So we took a step back. We pivoted. We thought about what could we give our fans that they've been asking for a while, that we could accomplish from home. And that was exactly that. It was more of us at home and more of us, you know, being stupid and goofy and you know, the little things that were getting so much engagement on our socials, to give them more of that.
So this recent live that you put up, or Get Better, was that you're not obviously not currently recording? Are you currently recording? While currently recording, you stepped out outside of the session to do the Get Better. Okay, gotcha. Cool.
Yeah. We did that. Again, it was in the marketing plan, so we knew exactly when we were going to be doing it. I had already carved out the time. It was no stress on anybody. You know, we knew that we wouldn't have to be touring or recording or any of that stuff. We knew our content creator would be in, or she could work remotely, because we had a guy here that had, you know, so we're a well-oiled machine.
Very cool.
I'm proud of my team. I'm really proud of my team.
It's very cool, by the way. I watched it twice today. So
thanks.
I have a question for one of the Shiprockers. This is Karen. She's been dormant a little bit here, but she came back and she got a great question. She wants to know, Elias, if you were alone on the planet, what 3 things would you want to be with you, food excluded?
Oh, I was gonna say an espresso machine. You got me. Okay. 3 things that I would need. Is music too general?
No, listen, just if you need Dark Side of the Moon, you need Dark Side of the Moon.
Okay, so music. I would absolutely need music. Oh man, I would need a beach to live on. And I need tacos. Oh shit, I can't use the food. I can't do food. And my family.
Ooh. You just described a vacation.
Yes, that's basically it. I need
I need a vacation.
I need Shiprock. I need a Shiprock.
There you go. That's right.
You just
That's
described
right.
Oh, you're so observant, sir. You're so observant. Oh, that's the best.
Well, thanks for answering that. But folks, if you got other questions, Karen, thank you. That was a great one. And I love his answers. It's good. Well, we'll just throw you another one. So we were talking about, you're getting ready to go on tour yet again with the band Varsity and as support for you guys. What are you looking forward to on the tour?
Getting over to the West. We haven't been there in a long time. They've been waiting. They were waiting pre-pandemic. So to finally get over there, it's been years, man. It's going to be fun to get over there.
Are you on tour right now? Or like
no, I'm in my basement studio thing. But yeah, we did a couple warm-up shows, you know, Flint, and then now we're gonna pick up with Varsity and start that. So thankfully I live in Michigan, so it wasn't far for me to go from Flint to my home. So I'm happy getting a couple days.
I thought you were with Black Label Society. Was that not? Was that last
No,
year?
what happened was we were supposed to play Shiley Acres with them, and with the bottleneck that's going on with vehicles right now, people don't understand. Everybody's touring. That we didn't secure a vehicle in time to actually make it to the show. The person that was we had secured the vehicle, no longer had the vehicle in order for us to take. So We learned that literally days before, when they were like, "Hey, sorry, we don't have a vehicle." So we had to do the shows that we could, and unfortunately cancel the ones that we couldn't.
Yeah,
It's funny you mentioned that.
Right now. Sorry.
Yeah, the buses is one thing, but it got down to the minute things like there's not enough wood for drumsticks.
Yeah, yeah. It's
seriously,
the supply chain.
It was crazy. Ukraine. Like some bands, like we have to wait a week until we get our supply of just gear necessities, cables, sticks, picks. Yeah, it's amazing. It's amazing. I'm like, well, just go out and busk.
Yeah, like for real. It's we were under the situation where we would have had to have played the show and then made it to Shiley Acres, which was almost a 9-hour drive, that same evening. So we wouldn't have slept, having already driven 6 hours to get to Flint, stay up all night, and that would have put us at like a 48-hour mark with no sleep, and it just would have been bad.
Yeah,
especially driving through the mountains, and there were tornadoes going on at that time, and we did everything we could to get a vehicle, and it wasn't going to happen.
That's earn your stripes. And you've done that many of times over. Shit, somebody's like, "You want to drive load out to load in for an entire month straight for $300 a night?" I say, "Nope, no, thank you."
Yeah, can't do it.
Yeah.
Well, you mentioned new music coming out, new EP. Can I say EP?
Mm-hmm.
I just said it, so shit.
Yeah, you can say EP. It's definitely going to be an EP.
Okay, is that something we're going to see before the holidays? Being Christmas.
Absolutely.
Okay. Absolutely. And will it be kind of somewhat of a bookend to what you did with Ruthless, or what are you gonna do? Are you gonna know their cover song in there?
Well, what we wanted to do is, again, it's something that we've always wanted to do in the past, and we're stringing together some EPs, doing, like I was saying before, testing with that first one, building ourselves, and really servicing our core, doing some testing with this next one, and really trying something different sonically, and then hand everybody a really thoughtful body of work based on what we're accomplishing and what our fans are reacting to, because this last EP we really wrote for the sake of ourselves and to really shake our own tree and challenge ourselves. We really challenged ourselves on this one, and I think it's really changed everything for us. It certainly has for me. Writing as many songs as I've had, I can definitely say that the first song that we're about to drop is going to be something that people haven't heard from us.
That's awesome.
And I was going to ask you, what of all the songs that you've written or been a part of, which one stands out for you where you kind of go, I split the fucking atom with this one?
Sonically, I think live, Split the Atom. Last Dying Breath is a song that it really does the Non-Point roller coaster. We basically do everything. Milestones is another one that has a swag that our fans, and I just love playing that song live. I don't know what it is about it. It just has a swing to it. But my favorite Non-Point song is on this new EP of all time.
That's awesome.
Hands down.
The one you're getting ready to drop.
Hands down. It is my favorite
song
of all time.
Hold on to your shirts, folks.
It made Rob. Yeah, it made Rob. I've never seen Rob react the way he's reacted to this song with our music.
If you could sort of give us a glimpse into Rob's reaction, could you do? Is that possible?
Is there room?
If you could imagine a silverback gorilla in an IKEA showroom, and the amount of furniture that would get tossed, that's basically Rob's living room when he was listening to the song.
Like, are you serious?
He was just throwing. He was filled with such rage and energy that he was destroying every bit of furniture. Definitely, neighbors definitely called the cops.
So basically, what you just said is Non-Point is never playing Stockholm. Very good.
That's awesome. I got a
Gonna have to fly to Copenhagen, folks.
Yeah.
I got a question about touring in general before we probably move into Walk the Plank. But hey, man, after all these years of doing it, you're in a space that, you get up, you know what you have to do for the day, and you know likely when you're going to be done doing it all. What's the least favorite part of that day for you after all of these years? Like, what do you loathe the most?
I loathe
specifically touring.
Touring wise,
Yeah,
specifically touring, what I loathe. Having to find a shower or a shitter.
Okay. It doesn't change then.
Those two things are just because the venue normally doesn't open up till about 11 or noon, and my guts get moving at about 9:30, and you ain't stopping these guts. They're going. The gears are open. They've already called downstairs. Open up all the valves. Everything's gone. If it's not moving by 9:40, there's a backup in the tunnel.
Plus the doors open and it's just you on a fucking mission, so worried looking.
sweating like, Jesus Christ, is the bathroom? Which way? This way?
Elias, you have to live like a wolf.
Yes.
Okay. I figured it wouldn't change, over the years, but just out of curiosity to kill the cat, if you were like, well, I hate this. But it's definitely always been for me, how do I do this peacefully? I should say peacefully, because you could run into like a gas station onesie, and you know that there's going to be somebody behind you knocking on that door about 2 minutes in, and that's not fun. With
the door gap like this far, so they could totally see me, full head, like the. What's up, dude? I'm gonna finish up. You gonna wait for me to finish up, or are you gonna stare at me through the fucking crowd? You're 11. Where's your father?
Yeah.
It's like, that's like, you ever see that? Like a kid comes like right in the crack. Yeah, it happens every fucking time. Sitting there, and you try to give him this one. You try to just feed him the top of the head. Nah, they'll sit there and.
Till you're done.
Yeah. Hey, I've got a question for you. Jesus, this is the longest shitter discussion I think
my wife and Francesca were actually talking about this today, how men talk too much about shit and farts, and I'm like, hey, they're funny.
Yeah.
No, they're funny.
Plus, it makes you feel less uncomfortable. I feel like me, I don't know about you, but like if I just get it out there, I don't have to worry about somebody wondering if I'm going to be a disgusting shitter. If I'm just like, dude, I need like an hour. They're like, okay. If they continue to hang out, that they can't have anything to complain about. I told you very early on.
Exactly. And hey, I scream. I go, I just started. Get away from the door. I learned that.
It's also good to always have something that plays music. So anyway, hey, one thing here is Steve wants to know when the new when you guys go out on tour, are you going to be playing or putting in a rotation any of the new tracks you've been working on?
If we do, it will be that song and it will be on this tour. If not, it will most certainly be in the fall.
Okay. Now, this I will send you privately after this, but I'm going to read this because this one young lady has a request.
Okay.
Christina goes, please ask Elias to dedicate, is it Rabia?
Yep.
Is that the name of one? Yep. Rabia to Lisa Martinez on Saturday in Milwaukee. She passed from cancer and she loved Nonpoint, and that was her favorite song.
We dedicated Rabia to Lisa at the Flint show, and we will be dedicating Rabia to Lisa for the entirety of that tour.
You're a great man. Thank you, Christine. I hope you heard that, and kudos to you guys for doing that. That's looking out for your folks. So
she was a sweetheart. Awesome. She was a sweetheart. I knew Lisa for many years. She came to many shows. She was soft-spoken, never asked for she was never crazy, and the sweetest woman ever. Cancer came quick, like super fast. She will be sorely missed.
All right. Well, thank you, my friend. I appreciate that, Christina. There you go. you're gonna
Done
get your
deal.
wish.
Done deal.
Justin,
Awesome.
want to take him down the plank, matey?
Do you want to ask the question from the prior?
Sure, I'll start with it. Yeah.
Go for it.
Let's do that.
So before, since the last time you were on this, we started a new tradition in our Walking the Plank segment. The previous guest will ask the next week's guest a question without knowing who that guest is. And
All right.
then I will repeat that question and you will give me that answer. Then I will tell you who that guest was, and then you get to do the same thing without knowing who that guest, next week's guest is.
All right.
So the question that was asked to ask you is, have you ever gotten to drive the bus before?
I have. I have. It was many, many, many years ago. And yes, I have. And it was actually during the drive. The driver literally got up, turned sideways and went, hurry up, sit. And I was like, oh, and I sat down and I was fucking driving. Oh shit. Like,
Were you
all right,
asking?
Were
you asking, or he just said, do this right now?
No, he had to go to he had to pee.
Oh, sick.
He had to pee.
So you weren't just like, can I drive? Can I drive? Can I drive?
No. But I had driven, I was always the driver for the band, and he knew that. And I was really good at trailers. Like, I'm ridiculous with backing in a trailer, like immediately know which way to turn it. Like, the guys are always freaked out about how like easily I do it. But that was pretty fun.
That's awesome.
It was my man Jason.
So that was asked by Joey Belladonna.
Oh, yeah.
Which
That's
I thought was
good
like,
one.
yeah,
I
he was
love
like,
Joey.
he just busted out that question. I was like, okay, let's do it. So now knowing how it works, what do you want to ask?
All right,
Joey, but
yeah. Have you ever seen an alien spacecraft on tour?
Okay, perfect.
There you go.
Writing it down.
Is
Yes.
Tom DeLonge our next guest?
Oh man, you need to. That'll be the whole segment.
That's right. Well, actually,
Whole segment.
Do you know who I am?
You can ask one question. You can ask one question and then just be like this.
Yeah, I'll see
I'm
you
gonna
later.
go make a sandwich or three. Yeah.
You're like this. You're like this. Yeah.
Oh yeah. I'm looking up Wikipedia.
Oh, yeah,
it
it's
right
great.
now,
It's looking great.
man.
I'm never
Thank you.
getting the
That's
Blink tour.
Hey man,
There goes
you
the
only ever
Blink
suffer
tour.
through
There
all
goes
of
the-
those hours of your life.
So we'll do walk the plank, Elias. Basically, we'll ask you a question, and you just give us your answer. And it's just usually nothing to do with music. Sometimes it is. My question is about music, so I just
All right.
shot myself in the foot. However, I'll go ahead and ask it. So my question is this: what song in your life, doesn't have to be a non-point song, that's be something you listen to, something you grew up with, what song evokes the strongest memories for you?
Song.
One
I
song.
can't. One song. I would
One
say.
song.
What song? It would have to be any Doobie Brothers song. Shoots me way back. Just yacht rock in general. If you put on the yacht rock station, it's over for me. I will like every song. I'll be like, oh
Yeah.
man, this
Yeah.
is my fucking jam.
Doesn't matter what. Yeah. If
Any-
it doesn't matter what shit's coming down the pike, that yacht rock will put you in a really good
Bro,
headspace.
That's my jam, man. It's palm trees and frozen drinks when I'm listening to that.
You
I was
God,
just
this
listening
guy
to
likes
Michael McDonald the
vacations.
other
What the fuck?
Yeah.
You're a
man.
vacation. You're a
I
vacation
work
state
a
of mind
lot,
kind of guy.
man.
Yeah.
I fucking work a lot. Come on. I need
Okay,
right.
so I'm going to ask you a non-music question, and I'm sorry,
Go
but
for it.
do you believe in coincidence or synchronicity?
Do I believe in coincidence? I believe in the power of intention, and I definitely believe in manifesting because I didn't understand it before, but intention and thought and language really does change everything. you're never gonna reach your goals if all you do is go, I'm worried I'm gonna reach my goals. My team always says it all the time when they're like, all right, I get that you say we're gonna do it, but we have to still figure it out. I'm like, yeah, I get it. We're gonna figure it out, but we're doing it. We're gonna do it. It's gonna happen. We're gonna do it. And every fucking time we get it done. So I definitely believe the most in putting your mind and then putting your intention towards what you want. It'll get there.
Was it
Manifest
like transcendental meditation right there?
Yeah, that's great. I got a quick question to follow up on that then. If that's the case, have you ever found yourself, do you find yourself a lot of the time at the goal line before the ball has even snapped with your team in those situations where you don't even, the play hasn't even began, but you're already like, I've scored, moving on? Are you just still okay? Gotcha.
Yeah, because because with the team, because I realized after taking on all the risk, being independent, you weigh everything out. So I know my bad case scenario and my best case scenario. What am I willing to risk to hit either one of those? And then I make that risk. And it's me and it's our band and it's our lives and our music. So why wouldn't I fucking risk it? You know what I mean? If they're spending the money to risk it on something that I don't feel as strong about, why wouldn't I risk it on something that after weighing the two and realizing, well, this isn't even a really bad case scenario, we still at least get to do it. Let's fucking do it.
Fuck yeah.
Let's fucking do it, right?
Let's fucking do it.
Let's fucking do it.
All right, and we just fucking did it. 1 hour with Elias from Nonpoint. Thank you, my friend. We really appreciate your time. Very generous, and obviously, guys, please, if you're interested in how this business works in the modern world now, check out the full episode this Monday at 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, wherever you stream. Podcasts, or if you can go to the Ask For YouTube channel, you can see it and have a visual companion to go along with it.
Hey.
So,
you can see these teeth,
guys. Beautiful teeth. So anyway, thank you for joining us tonight. Make sure and check out Nonpoint when they hit the road with Varsity on the what's the tour called again?
The Take It Apart and Put Back Together tour.
It's a lyric. Make yourself whole.
Yes, it's a lyric from Get Better.
Make yourself whole. Go see Nonpoint Varsity. And also, guys, if you didn't know, you can see Nonpoint and Shiprock 2023. We just dropped the first part of our lineup, and it's look at them all happy. We're gonna be stoked when you're there, dude. We can't wait. We can't wait for those big, huge, beautiful deck shows.
Yes.
Definitely thought you were going with something else there. The hard.
Hey, man, that's Nonpoint Blue. Okay. Anyway, guys, but you can, if you haven't purchased tickets yet for Shiprock 2023, go to shiprock.com and book your cabin. Or if you're just going alone, maybe you can find some other friends that are looking to go, and you can find a cabin mate on there or something, and become a Shiprocker for life. We appreciate your time. Thank you so much. Wouldn't have any of this happening without a few people I need to mention before we go. Our show producer, Al McManus, our show engineer, Jennifer Zito, our show coordinator, Heather Smith, and of course, the captain, Alan Koenig. And thank you, Chad. Thank you, Elias. And thank you, everyone out there, for joining us.
Chad, sir.
All right, everyone, take care. Have a good week and be safe.
Love you guys. Bye.
Bye.